All right, we're gonna get started. Are you four here?
Yep.
George, Kame?
Yep.
George,
I,
you here? Cool,
I,
cool. All right. So basically, want to start off by identifying what win conditions are, and for each team, and then go from there, right? So we know our win conditions: May ult and Grav. Right in between there, we have secondary ults for these four. For their comp, they only have the 1.5 win conditions, right? Their win condition is also like a Widow gets a pick, right? But they also have supplementary ults, right? So going into this, like obviously we don't know they're playing Widow. So the angles we take are okay. Going to fight this on Coast Drum, right? So speed us up a little bit. We get there and we're pretty quick to identify the Widow because she takes a shot down main, right? Um, George sets up a great wall here. We're able to burn the Rhine. And what I like about this fight is that if we all take a look top right, just look at the health bars, right? And notice how little chip damage they take compared to like look at how good our focus fire is, right? Like this Ryan is out of position, or sorry, maybe it's the Zarya. Sorry, yeah. So we burn the wall. Like no one else on their team has taken damage yet. It's just the Zarya being burned down, and it gets better than that, right? Like where we even have good focus on the immo too. Zarya is dead, then the immo's up. We're all on the immo. Now we're pushing on the Ryan, right? We get like a little bit of splash damage on the Kree, but like for the most part, the Ryan feeds. We all turn on him. Like at no point in time in this has any of these three taken damage, right? It's just purely good focus fire, right? And that's good. We like that. So this was a good start to the fight. We kind of stabilize here, and then we push up and clean up the kills, right? What I don't like is we sacrifice all the positioning after this, right? So we've basically, after we clean up, we've earned all of this side of the map, right? But for some reason, because we
The
cap, we
objective is
decide to
now
take a fight
active.
here, right? Like Ramen's here, he ends up taking the fight here, and for no reason. Like we just lost all of our positioning right here. Now we're about to take a fight from point. So I think in that instance, Clones was the one that charged to point and Gorba went to cap 2. I think we should have either held up here, drum, or some variant, right? But all 5 of us and Ramen by point is not correct positioning, right? Because we just let them in for free. And the nature of this duel composition wise is that it's all about this Widow, right? If she gets a pick, we're screwed. So we want to take engagements that don't allow her to get space. And like this is beautiful for that because she only has this window of opportunity or a strange sightline down here, right? So playing on point versus a Widow, it's not the move. But it's still an interesting fight nonetheless, right? So the Widow's playing back left for us. We decide to start to push up. Like you can tell we feel uncomfortable in this position, but we're like, fuck it, we're here. Let's do this. And they're smart about this, right? Because they realize that we don't have this, so they just take it for free. And now, what's even worse is we're going to end up taking a team fight here, where they have a Widow peppering us from behind, and the brunt of their core um, establishing like a strong angle. So they have the off angle against us, right? And this is just by nature of where we set up to take the fight. We actually even get a good scout on them through the window. And we realize our mistake, so we start back. No one's scouted the Widow. And now we take a fight, and this is the first time that she shoots, right? When we're already fucked. Like this is so bad for us, you know? We don't have ults, they don't have ults. This is gonna be fast. Well, they do have ults. Spoilers. We all get shattered. But like we lost this not because of the shatter, but because of the positioning, they had off angles. Like we were just in a terrible spot for this, right? And like the MO comes out a bit too late, right? We're already down 2 by this point, and yeah, no chance whatsoever, right? They won this fight with just a shatter. That's not good. Can't have that happening. They have to fight for this, right? Um, so they're up 2. We're totally split, so this is just a lost fight. At this point, we should just be focusing on gathering all charge, tracking them, all that good stuff, right? So then we go into the next fight. They're basically going to have window, um, maybe sights, right? Maybe grav. We're going to have window, we'll have beat, we have noon. We're going to get grav maybe by the end of the fight, and we'll have shatter, right? So economy-wise, we're looking good, right? But we just gave that up for free, and we didn't need to. A little bit of trepidation here, taking poke. All right, we decide to commit to the right side. This is good. I like this so far. Right. So we don't know where the widow is. She's currently like right here. She takes very bad angles this game from what I noticed, but that's okay. And we push up. We've already taken a bunch of poke. Now, the mistake that's made here is they use a window. I'll use black um, right here. For some reason, clones ends up on point. Gorba ends up here. We have the core here, and I think Ramanather plays here. He ends up over here. Gorba made the correct call, right? So I think we set up like a May wall here-ish, and Gorba says to like go into them. Um, that was the correct call. What we did was incorrect, and you can just watch it play out, right? Um, there's the wall, there's the window. Then for some reason, clones goes to point. Oh, I didn't notice George. That's where the George was. But okay. Yeah, but like you can see, like we have this 3 stack here for no reason. We have Gorba and George in it. We have clones split. Like this is lost, right? We didn't have coordination. And I know for a fact because I was watching this. In fact, I was watching Gorba's stream this day, and all he ever calmed was walk through the window, walk through the window, walk through the window, speed through the window, and then it happened in game. He said it, and no one followed him. So it's kind of why we lost this fight. It was just poor coordination. Also, that was a sick fire strike. Sorry, Gorba. Rip. But
Get fucked.
yeah. And then what's even
Was
worse?
Zarya?
Go ahead.
Sorry, was Zarya in range to walk through? Like, I think she's a
Well, that's
Chungus
yeah.
was behind her. Yeah.
So fundamentally, the issue is that we had 2 groups of 3. Like we had, who was it? We had Ryan, Lucio,
Yeah.
May, and then Zarya, Bap, Kree. Like it got to play a 6, right? You know, so that's why this happened, right? Because you just guys got caught with your pants down, right? By the time the the core was standing here, and like I say core is a loose term because we're running brawl, right? But by the time the core was here, clones is here. We have Gorba and George here, and it's just this isn't gonna work. It has to be 6, right? Splitting the difference. So that's kind of what
I mean,
happened.
I did go off of Gorba's call,
Yeah,
so
you
I kind
followed
of
it.
remember that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it's actually the only call that was made, right? Everyone else that hid here didn't say so. You guys just did it, right? No one said to do this. It just happened. This was the call that was made. I have no idea what he was doing, but yeah, it was interesting. And worse than all of that, down 3 and we high noon. So very messy, right? And all they invested into the first fight that they won, they only invested shatter, right? The second fight that they won, they only invested window, right? So now we're coming up versus 5 ults, right? Because they got another shatter, and we have I mean, we would have had 6 ults, but we now have 5 ults, and it's gonna be some of the worst ult economy I've ever seen. So what's hilarious about this is that they push up, take a fight here, we use 4 ultimates, they use 1. But then what's even worse is that then we take a fight over here, they use 4 ultimates and we use 1. So ult economy resets, but we end up winning this fight. And then the last fight, Kame uses a great window, gets a pick, and we win off of that, right? But it was just remarkable how
Overwatch fucking sucks, dude.
like poor decisions were made, right? Because to date, like as up to this like point in the replay, like we're getting decimated, right? They have better ult economy, they have better decision making, they have better positioning. Like their Widow is trash. She's playing with the team, rarely off angling, and we're just making poor decisions. So a lot of the fight planning is just not there. So yeah. Good ammo, good shield. Yeah. We end up stabilizing, right? And what's interesting about here is now we're actually in a 5v6 because their Widow is playing so far back, she only has 1 line of sight. I'll show it to you guys, right? She's literally only playing this angle, right? We have the advantage here, and I think this is why we win, but we use such weird ult combos, right? So we have 2 coming out of spawn, they have their core here, right, and just watch this play out, right? It's just wild. We trade shatters, Chungus nice bubble, you blocked the enemy shatter, which was great. We missed Maywall, and we've traded Immos, which actually came out before anything. Then they grab, we overlap our support ultimates, and then to top it off, we grab 1 person. But he fucking dies, right? all that said and done, we've invested 4 ultimates, practically 5 because we used it the fight before. We've gotten 2 kills, and they now have, what is this? Is that 4? Yeah, they have 3 ultimates, right? And like, you know
Dude,
what
we're
I'm
tier
saying?
2 ready.
Yeah.
Like, this is just wild decision
Dude,
making.
we're tier 2 ready.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
It's just wild, right? And like it's good cleanup. I will admit, like we got them split, and from here, like look at our engagements, look at like our positioning. Like Kame is a bit out of speed, but you know it's whatever.
That
He
fucking
gets
window, by the way, was. I remember that exact fucking moment. I like, holy shit! All right, let's win this, boys. We're fucking windowing. It's
yeah,
behind us.
yeah. Like it was just fascinating to watch, and like our cleanup is nice. Like we collapse on the Reaper, you know, like okay, so like everyone's chunked down, right? But like is still acknowledging that like we have good focus fire, which is great, and
We killed Bap
like
though.
clean it up. And then, you know, why are we here? We didn't learn our lesson last time, right? Like the Widow just is playing Kovacs in our backline. We're here for some reason. We want to take a fight up here, right?
I'm gonna use that one. He's playing Kovacs in our backline.
Yeah, dude, like, and that's the thing, like, we're giving all this positioning up, and, like, their Widow is trash, like, I'm pretty sure this is the fight that we take a team fight, like, around here, I want to say, and their Widow is just, like, right here, with their core right here, and our core right here, for, like, no reason, right? Like, this Widow is dog shit, and we're just giving them so much, like, utility for no reason. Yeah, this is the fight. Like they use window or they use walls, right? And then we just play for 1 lane. And I will admit, like we win this with 1 ultimate, right? We win it with Maywall or Mail, but they end up investing all of this for it, right? And it's just wild. They go in with the TP, I think, as we start the Mail. Yeah, I don't know if this is called, but we have a good rotation by George here. and it looks like it was like a speed rotation, right, to get him around that corner and off angle here. Like I like this positioning, like
I'm
disregarding
pretty
where
sure it was like, yeah, go speed, go.
right, like
Let's do.
I like this off angling, right? This is great. With clones holding down the center, right? Like this is great into this. What's hilarious is that, right? So like it's just beautiful timing, and that's like
We
precisely
speed out of the Reaper ult.
exactly. And like
I'm
so
fucked.
what I'm unsure of is like we have a pretty big male right here, and we all turn on this Reaper with, which I think is okay, but
Turn
I
on
think
the
yeah, he's out of position. He wasn't gonna get anything out of it. But we kill him, right? So like you can see, like Gorba and George are in. All of us are like, oh shit, there's a Reaper ulting in our backline again. But he dies, you know, so it's like it's whatever. But this
He
is,
beats and Orion doesn't get it.
but yeah, and like this is an odd screenshot, right? Like just this, like 5 alive,
Why didn't he drop it
6
on top?
alive, 2 here, like
Because he's
3 here,
Platt?
1 here. Like it's just so split.
That
So
fucking Lucio's Platt along with their whole team.
it's
You know
it's
the tech?
it's interesting, right? So it is good cleanup after that. Like the Ryan ends
His
up,
Ryan got the beat though.
yeah, he
Wait,
got
how are they frozen? What?
Wait,
because this
The
Where
is
did
Ryan's frozen, but how are they? Look at the map.
because this is your wall.
Even if it's the enemy wall, you get frozen through it.
Yeah, like they were in it before.
Far? What the fuck?
Like he just jumped out.
He just
right?
potatoes.
He
yeah.
walks in.
Wait.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's just a dumbass.
Yeah. So
What?
Wait, what? That's
wait,
his
wait.
MO?
Is that their immo? They
Wait.
immo their widow?
who knows?
What?
Again,
What the fuck?
wild. But at the end of the day, like
So cursed.
we win
It's
this
so cursed.
1 ult, and like spoilers, they end up investing Shatter right here, and they get well they get 1. They could have gotten 2. I can't remember if it was shielded or bubbled, but like it's just like yeah, okay, so it's shielded, but it does get George, I think, yeah. And we end up stabilizing off of this, which I think is actually pretty good, right? Like we kill the Ryan, we stabilize. George, I think you're a bit aggressive here. You know, this is
Oh, shit.
but like for what it's worth, right? Like this stabilizing as a core and then pushing up to clean up is great. And like what I like even better is look at the focus fire of this, right? It's just so clean.
Easy.
And the Widow's nowhere to be seen, of course, but
Half the fight was actually won due to fucking Immor placement, though.
yeah, and that's what I'm
Fucking-
saying. Like it was just so clean, and that's what
Oh
we
no,
need.
the fact that fucking
This
Berserk
is
over
not
here
what we
fucking...
need. Like trading 4 ults for 1 and then trading 1 ult for 3, like it's just fucking insane. And honestly, so like that was nice. That technically won us the fight, but like it was mistakes on our end, it was mistakes on their end.
I'm just curious though, like, wait, like rewind it. What was he immoring?
Did it
Probably
bounce off the
fat
wall?
finger it or something.
I don't get it. Why is that there? Okay, 21
So he-
seconds.
he
So he did
just-
it 10 seconds ago. What is my man doing? Wait,
He
what?
just used it like as the blizzard casted, but I don't know where he threw it. Did it bounce off the wall?
No way.
Oh,
I am just that good. What can I say? I am the best player in the world. Like, what am I? What
you
the
just
fuck? Am I wrong? Am I just God?
I've actually never seen that. That's really
I've
weird.
never seen
I
that.
am the best man in the world. What the fuck?
So after all of that, right? Like
Somebody clip it, send it to Reddit.
true. So after all of that, right? Like we lost we win the first fight, right? Like, and that goes well. The second fight, they shatter. The third fight, they window. The fourth fight, we invest 4 ults, they invest 1. The fifth fight, we invest 1, they invest 3, and then this last fight, we only invest window and we win it, right? I mean, we end up using ults in overtime, but like the window here is, I honestly think, the only like good play. Like the Mayall is great, but it only got so much value because they played so poorly, right? And like inversely out here, their Shatter was great because it got 4 ults out of us, right? You know? Um, so this fight is the only fight that has like semblance of a thought process, right? Except for the neutral fight, because we all are finally playing in the correct area. It took us 6 fights, but you know, we got there. And now here we are. We push up on the Rhine, we speed, we engage, we pick them. Beautiful. From here, this is
You
like
just kind of
cleanup
run it
because
down.
these people are basically out of the game for a little bit. I think we push on the Reaper. Good job, Gorba, contesting the Widow. Yeah, and like we let people sneak by, but for what it's worth, I think that's okay. I don't think it's ideal, but I think it's okay, right? And so this is basically one. We end up using ults here, right? Wild shit happens, but at this point in time,
Ow.
it's one, you know.
Огонь по готовности!
And so that's Sanctum, right? Wild adventures. Like this initiation with the wall here, burning the Zarya, burning Immo, killing the Ryan, and then pushing up and cleaning on first fight. Like that was great. Second fight, third fight, fourth fight, and fifth fight are fucking dog shit. Like these two, same mistake. This one, goddamn, I was so mad. This one, I was so happy and also so
What
mad.
can I say? My Maywalls
And
are
this
just
fight was good,
incredible.
right? So like, you see what I'm seeing when I'm watching this, and I'm just like, huh, all right, cool, cool. And then we go to, I think
Ready
it's,
for
yeah,
battle.
We all
Mecha
get
base.
tilted.
No, no, we don't get tilted yet. No, that comes a lot later. But,
Oh.
yeah, Mecha base. I think I have to,
One.
yeah, okay.
Ready for battle.
So, again, let's talk win conditions, right? They're playing for Grav, they're playing for Junk. He ends up swapping to Hanzo later. But we still have our win conditions as these two, right? So we're looking to engage here. George, the placement of your Maywall on this
Round two.
is just a
Capture the
little
objective.
off. Like it's close, but just a little off, right? So I'll pause it.
Oh no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just a little off. And like, you know, if it was a tempo thing, this would be great, but we can't really close this distance in the time that they can walk out, you know? So that don't stop doing this. Like this is still correct, you know? Just unfortunate, right? Just pointing it out. We take the fight, we miss the bubble, we waste self bubble, we have to use Immo. And then we start the brawl, right? We poke them out. They have to MO, and now with this MO, we stabilize. Now, what I don't like here is actually the positioning of these two. I think this should swap, right? I I personally think Kree should be the one playing here if he has his role because he can just use it to like get to.
See, that's my main problem. I switch between both of these roles so fucking often that I
Right.
literally play like them merged, if that makes sense. Like I
Right.
don't know.
And like I get that. The reason that Kree off angles here is because of his movement ability with the
Exactly.
wall
You could
to get
just
back
you
out.
can like
right?
because you dish out so much fucking damage, you're just able to fucking like click heads and shit.
Right.
And like that's why I was kind of wondering, like, I don't know why
you
Ramen's
end up
just kind of there.
so you end up
Like,
getting value because you're the one that breaks MO. But what would be even better is that so they're stabilizing right now. May has the ability to slow down fights, right? You can negate all the tempo they have, or And situations like this, you can put them on the back foot, right? So if you had like a wall here, and it's probably on cooldown, I'm not going to check, right? But if you had a wall here, you can wall them off, and then we can push around here with create off angling and like clean up right here. Fight's over right here, you know? But that's contingent on Maywall, right? Regardless, if Kree was here and we had the core here with like May in this, we can still walk into them, even though we're stabilizing, right? We can still walk into them because they don't have a May, and we can control tempo around the May, right? They can't just push on us because we'll just freeze the Rhine. They've invested ammo, right? And in the situation where he's over here breaking ammo, like that's beautiful for us. So I think the reason, so this fight goes on to like maybe here, like it's super long, right? I honestly think this is where it went wrong. Just the misunderstanding of off angling, right? We end up trading Hines basically for this. Yeah, and I like this wall. We weren't ready for it though, right? Like it does a decent job splitting the Zarya. Like we'd have to burn bubble and then kill her through whatever burst healing they have, but this is still a good isolation. Um, the issue is it gets ice block out because we weren't ready to engage on that, and that's okay. You know, I'd rather you're playing aggressive than just waiting. Yeah. So we end up with the advantage. We've essentially stabilized up here, but the issue is now like by the time we push, their Rhine is coming back, and I think we make a poor decision to split. So the Rhine's coming back, right? We're gonna try to take a team fight around here, but we end up engaging on two people where there's like three or so, around three over here, and the Rhine ends up back, right? So they end up catching our rotation for the team fight, and I think the decision to engage here was incorrect. And I'll show you what I mean, right? So they're retreating, the Rhine's almost back. Now we're pushing. They've regrouped, but they're deciding to off angle here. Like these two are threatening, but if we just engaged on these four, the Reaper doesn't get value and we're just left with the junk poke. We're always going to be dealing with the junk poke, especially if we walk into his face, right? I think the decision to go on these two here is actually what nearly cost us the fight the second time around, right? So we push on it, and now like look at how exposed we are. Like clones drops low, so Gorba goes over, and then what ends up happening is Gorba wall rides up, Kame comes over, Kame gets trapped, Kame uses boosters to come over, and then Chungus comes down. He has to use self bubble, but he goes down here, and it's just like, you know, if this was, why am I stuck? If this was like us contesting point, it'd be beautiful, but it's just right here, you know. And yeah, you can see that Kame gets trapped. Lucky Maywall, good Maywall, lucky Maywall. We trade Rhines basically.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was calculated, 100%.
Yep. Then again, Gorba goes up. Kame goes up as Chungus is following.
Oh,
And then you waste projected bubble. Like Kame's just out of the fight at this point.
yeah.
Right? Like cuz he ends up walking around over here. You actually even go like down here for not a lot of reason. And like this looks losable, but we have a really nice grab at the end. And it's wild, right? Because we basically killed their Rhine and he's just coming back off cooldown. Right, we get a nice pick, which I didn't show. We got the junk here. And now we're in a losing situation, right? So it's 3v3. They have a Reaper out here. Kame is over here.
Oh, he's chasing me.
Right,
That
right,
fucker.
right. This is actually a lost situation. So we're setting up like a May wall right here, but they have two healers and a charged Zarya. We have one healer, a Zarya with charge, and a May. Like this this is not favorable for us. And I think this is just one of those times where, like, it's just mechanics, right? We are ahead on ult charge for Grav, and that's what wins us the fight. I think the actual play here versus this is to back up and wait for reinforcements. But I'm not gonna watch the Kame struggle. I'm just gonna watch this, right? Like it gets dicey. We even like freeze the Zarya, but like there's no way we kill her. Like look at all the healing they have, right? Like there's no way she dies here. And like it's the correct play. Like you just pick a target and hope you can burst it down.
He
Right?
ditched Kame?
Oh yeah.
The Reaper?
Yeah, and now so Kame is coming back, right? Clones is almost back. Their Ryan's almost back, and this is just the wildest shit I've ever seen, but a beautiful Grav at the end of the day, right? We basically get Grav and we use it.
Bruh.
Fuck!
I did not notice that at all.
Right, and so like this is why we win. Like this is why we won this fight, right? We made mistakes here. We made huge mistakes here. We made like, you know, it's a mistake, but at the same time, it's just one of those situations where we are just in the midst of fucking brawl. You know, there's no thought. It's just hopefully someone wins at this point. We technically stabilize, we regroup, but it's like we're regrouping in the middle of the fight, and then we get like the fattest Grav off and win. Then we invest window.
Bruh.
I think the window's okay, but you know, it's just a wild situation, and the tire even gets broken, right?
You all look like you needed some healing.
Right.
Ooh.
So, like, it was clean,
Clicking on them.
you know. Everything after the Grav looked great, looked intentional. Everything before the Grav looked sloppy.
I don't know what you're talking about. That wall on the Rhine
wall?
shatter,
Yeah,
just
Oh, was that a 6K?
all me.
it might have been.
I think it was. I killed the Zarya before the Grav.
Nice. So, after that, we should ult track, right? They'll get this mid fight. They'll get this mid fight. Like we have a good old bank going into this. Damn, cutting it close, Gorba. We get a great wall
Never
here.
even broke a sweat.
We get a great wall here. We get ammo out of them, and then we invest May ult and Shatter. I think this fight, and like it's pretty clean. I think the Shatter might have been excessive, but I'd rather invest it than regret it. You know. This is a good wall here. Gets the Ryan. Can't be bubbled.
Easy.
They use a bubble. Yeah, so right here, they have bubbles, but we get a great wall off.
Wait, isn't that our bubble?
You're right. Yeah, sorry. They use self bubble, but they can't get the projected off on the Rhine because he gets walled. We're able to burn him down, and they end up investing. I don't know where it is. Ammo. A bit too late, a bit too clunky, right? Damage is basically done at this point, right? And then they beat ahead of time. Like they beat it before our May ult, but it's still a good May ult, right? Clones comes around, sees no bubbles, shatters literally everything in the map. I think the shatter might have
What
been
the
a bit
fuck is
excessive.
going on with that? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he's shattered. I think the shatter might have been excessive. The May ult was great though. Good cleanup, good team fight, right? So now, right, they use the junk ult. They're now on Hanzo. They're probably setting up for Grav Dragon if they can get it in a fight, right? They've Reaper ult. They're close to Shatter. They've Grav. They might get Hanzo because this build's really fast, and they might have Window. You know, we're looking a little worse for wear, but this is one of those instances where we take like a dry fight and try to win with better positioning, right? So I can't remember if this is when they go left side.
I think so.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so we didn't have any scouting for this. I think that's something we need to work on. Um, Chungus, personally, what I like to do is like if we're holding up here, there's no reason to spam down here in the scouting
Mhm.
phase because you're gonna have 5 other people looking, right? You can just
Yeah.
be like on the stairs, spamming this corner, waiting for like ticks, and
Yeah.
be inconsistent with it, right? Like, because you get 4 right clicks, you can be like, if this is the pacing of right click and then you're reloading, right? You can be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to just kind of space it out.
Okay.
So they don't, like, because it's easy to predict how big Zarya's ammo clip is. Like, you get 4 in. That's like a way to scout. You can also do it like here. Um,
Mhm.
and if you're standing here, you can use audio cues for this area, right?
Yep.
Um, and if you're here, you can, like, you're already at high energy, or you should be. I guess you're close. But one of the things I talked about in the document is bubble management. You should be strictly maintaining high energy with projected bubbles. Self bubbles are a way to off angle, and in this case, you can use them for scouting, right? Because technically speaking, if our core is here and you're here, you're out of position, right? Especially if they come from this angle. But if you poke and you have self bubble, you can disengage with bubble,
Mhm.
and you'll still be safe, right? So they end up getting the jump on this on us because we didn't scout. It looks like this. The Ryan actually peeks out super early. Um, we're just not really ready for it. They
Огонь!
take the fight. They grab. They're gonna Reaper ult this. And what I don't like is that we end up investing ammo and beat in the same situation, right? I think that's something we need to coordinate better. Right, so you can see both of them come out. Um, it's not great, but by the end, it's like, that's just synergy things. Ramen's not here, but I'm recording, so I'm gonna say, take the shot here. Kill the BAP. Don't wait for this, right? We're already down to just kill the BAP here. You're not gonna get a 6K. You get lucky, right? So we lose this, right? I'll keep it playing. We lose this only because we didn't scout them. They had a bit of a better ult economy, um, but at the end of the day, we still traded 2 major ults for 2 not so major ults, right? Like I guess this is a secondary, but we traded a primary and a secondary for 2 secondary ults, right? I don't think we needed the high noon, but I'd rather he invested than not.
So if
So,
we scout them bottom left, uh, is the call to just play split because they have Grav and Reaper ult, or like what would be the
right, so
ideal turn of
it
events after
it
scouting them?
kind of depends, right? So like realistically, if they have Grav and we're caught out in this like transition, not knowing where they're going,
Mhm.
we're probably gonna get grabbed, right? Because this is the median for it, like the middle ground. Like ideally, if we're taking a team fight here, we can off angle them, right? Because they're going to be bottlenecked coming out of this choke when they
Mhm.
walk through, right? So we have the opportunity to get like angles on them and up here, up here. Um, this isn't a safe spot. This is still a location we can get grabbed, so we can have people back here and we can have people here, right? But then we're looking at a situation where we're taking a team fight here. We have people here and we have people here. Like they're gonna grab this, obviously. There's just not a lot of value we can get out of having people here, right? Because like if we have, like obviously Ryan has to be here. May has to be here. Maybe Lucio here. Maybe BAP. Really all depends on what cooldowns you want to use, right? And then inversely, the other one, I think you would have BAP further back, and then this would be Lucio, Zarya, Kree, right? Like we're losing efficiency for this situation because it's all one angle, right? So in this situation versus Grav, I almost think we should have just kited or like dropped a point or something or tried to come up with a way to off angle instead of just inting onto a choke, right? Because once
Yeah.
they break it, they had all the advantage in the world because of the fact that we couldn't take this as an off angle. Like, one, this isn't safe, and two, it's unobtainable if we're over here, right? So,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, like, what we did was good. I think we just over invest into it. But, you know, at the end of the day, we still have 75%. So, not entirely sure. But that's kind of what I noticed, right?
I like the kiting onto point and then have Kree on high ground.
Yeah, I just like you're talking about like he goes from here to here.
Yeah, I'll be with him, and then
Yeah.
the core will be like on.
I think that's better. I don't think it's necessarily winnable though, but it is certainly better angles, right? So, yeah. I don't remember this fight. Actually, I really don't remember this
I
fight.
think we have a lot of tough fights in a row, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, we get him out and then we rotate, I think. Very
Okay.
slowly.
Yeah, I remember this now. I think George just walks out and dies here for some reason.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
do.
and so I'm guessing you're here because we called for an engage, right? Which
Kinda.
I think is okay. Like, if the May wall is at a sharper angle, it's good. The issue is we can't get that sharp of an angle with the May wall without him being like here to do it, right? Does everyone know what I'm saying? Like where he's positioned, like he died right here, and that's why the wall is facing this direction. If he's over here, the wall can be facing this direction. This is a good team fight, right? With a wall here, good split. This, not so much, right? So I think the call to engage is good. Like you do have to walk out of a choke. I think because we just invested ammo, because clones is low, we just weren't ready to walk out. And I think this is the fight we use window too. No, it's not. But yeah, we kind of realized it was fucked, so we just back up. And that's a good disengage. Like we're taking a lot of damage on the way out, I'll admit. Which is like ult charge, but it's still overall a good idea to disengage. Especially because we end up like trading Rhines, right? This next fight is fucking hilarious. And just
Uh-oh.
amazing. What's there?
That sounds bad.
I can't watch it. But we decide to go on my screen right side, on theirs left side.
Oh, yeah.
And we just hard juke the male,
Oh, that was too
So
funny.
fucking funny.
which is just lucky. But after this, we didn't have a plan. Like in this
Yeah.
moment, we're talking about the May ult and like how they whiffed it, and we don't actually have a plan for this. So what ends up happening, like 3 of us come up here, one of us drops down, so now we have 2 up here, we have 1 here. Clones has to play here, and then we end up with like 1 here. And then somehow we flip this, and this is Chungus, and he walks up here. Gravs walks up here. We try to clean up Grav, and we lose this. It's wild, right? But it's just because we weren't planning after that
Yeah.
mail, right? We were just laughing at her. And then we look like the idiots. Because I don't even. All they do is window, and we Grav. And we might even
Yeah.
window here.
We do. I think the play, it's my fault I get split there. I think I should have maybe went up on bridge and then set up for grab window fire strike up there.
So what happens is clone sees the May, right? And the core, right? Because this is 5-1 split. And if we're all
Uh-huh.
coming out of here, he knows that some of us went up here. It should be feasible for us to speed a 6 onto this May and kill her, right?
Yeah.
And that's why he's here. I think you dropped off high ground. I guess I can double
I
check.
got like walled, but I was also committing there, so the wall just kind of nudged me in the direction I was already heading,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
but it
So
did force me on that side.
what I saw was all of these people here, like that's Bap, Lucio, May, Kree, and then tanks, right? And like this is favorable, right?
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks like a face, right? Um, this is certainly favorable for us. Like all of their utility, except for obviously May, but like all the feedback is right here. And so like I get why we sped onto the May, and I think it's a good play if it was called, but it wasn't followed, right? Because you see clones go in, wild, we commit, and then all of a sudden we're all like, oh yeah, but there's a team. Let's forget about the call, right? You know, you got to commit, and it gets ice block out. But I honestly think if we had like the flash, a little more burst damage, like we could kill her before ice block even comes out, right? So then we get a good. It's a pretty good wall. Like it doesn't necessarily split the BAP, but it does force him to play different. It delays the Lucio. I think it had the potential to split the Reaper, um, but the intent was good. It's just that we have no follow up, right? So we lose the May. They're still alive. Comes out
Огонь
of,
по готов...
and then we grab. Like it's a big grab, but Chungus, why did you invest bubble here? Like you're you're full health. You're full energy.
I guess I knew the May was behind me, and she knows I'm high energy, and I'm just trying to get as much damage off into the grav before I get frozen, type of thing. Like it's just kind of an instinctual thing. It's probably better to save it until I'm either half or I actually am getting frozen. But it was kind of just like, oh, there's a lot of people here. I don't want
Yeah.
to get bursted down. I'm just trying to get into the center of that and do as much damage as possible.
I don't know if you play May, but I think as a tank player, you should have a good understanding that a May is always going to prioritize the Rhine, right? You may have
Sure.
taken ticks because you crossed this line where
Hmm.
clones cross this line. So in this area, you took ticks of the freeze. And if that's why you use bubble, like, okay, but this bubble is really bad, right? Because
Yeah.
you actually can't do anything after this because
Yeah.
you've blown the offensive, right? Um, it's a nice grav. There's like no follow up that can come from it. Oh, and you do bubble clones, which is great. Like she gets frozen, right? And then the bubble cleanses, which is great. But then we start losing people, and this fight is suddenly lost. And
Yeah.
it all stems from the fact that we we disengaged here, come out here, and in this section while they were ulting over here, we didn't have a plan. Right? We just said grav, and then we do like a fucking merry-go-round grav and then die.
Yeah.
So very discombobulated, and it all went wrong when we were like here. We just didn't have a plan, right? So ultimately, that's what that is. This is just lost. Yeah, and the BAP went uncontested up here the entire time. And I think some of that, Chungus, is because you actually end up using your bubble on yourself. And then there's like 3 here, but at the end, like when it's just like Zarya, these, you had Kame still up. You should have 180 turn and contested the BAP with bubble, right?
Yeah.
And that would have been what kept us in the game. Um,
That's fair.
but that fight was chalked. Big L. So now we're going into a fight. Like, and we only invested 1 ult, right? And they only invested 1 ult. Or sorry, they just used window. But now we're in a bit of an interesting situation, right? Alt economy wise. So I don't remember this fight either. I think we window in rotation for some weird reason.
Огонь!
Yeah, so this is odd, right? So it's a good wall on their part. The window ends up getting value by breaking it, but like this is chaos, you know? We have shit going on over here. We're about to shatter here. We have Reaper in the backline here. We have like just an odd grouping of people here trying to get value out of a window, and yeah, we lose this. The ammo comes out, both sides. We go down. The beat comes out on both sides. Fortunately, Chungus dies because, you know, he got graved. Then they shatter. Clones goes down. And again, just
Oh, excuse me.
Is he high noon?
It's high noon. I'm staking my claim
I don't understand anything that happened in this fight, right? And like that's the epitome of it all, right? Because at this point in time, it's lost, right? No chance. We almost have semblance of like a team fight, but you know. And Gorba, like you're right. We should still be making calls here because this is still winnable. I'm just not going to VOD review it because I think the intent of VOD reviewing is talking about team fights, why team fight plans, why they worked, why they didn't work, right? So I'm just not going to deal with this. This is all mechanics, all micro, not my forte, right?
It's not so much like making it's like let's not line up on the 50 when there's still a minute and a half left in the game. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. Yeah. So, sloppy at the end, right? Started out pretty good, ended pretty rough. Now here is fascinating because they end up running with a Widowmaker, but she plays on point. And it's just she's so bad, and we're just giving her value for no reason. Like, so of course we're gonna take Mega, right? And then we end up going to point because they went straight to point, right? If this Widow was here, like we're just walking in a straight line, right? But she's instead playing by the pillar behind point, right? She's like corner peeking here, and we just int onto her. It's just incredible. So, oops, too far.
2-1.
We speed, and now I think this is a situation that we might need to work on, right? Maybe if we're running brawl, it makes more sense to go main. Maybe we still go this way. Maybe we go coast at the start. I think at this point in the match, because like what it was, Busan was almost the last map. They basically ran the Rhine the entire time, right? Like I think we should have gone main here, but
Yes,
that's just
Torbjorn has 2 turrets.
what? What, George?
Torbjorn has 2 turrets.
Oh, cool.
And experimental.
Okay.
They went
Moving
through
on.
with it. And I'm playing Overwatch.
We're gonna disregard that and go back to this VOD. But anyways, yeah, I think the decision to go here could be debated, but it's better that we stuck to a plan. From here, we decided to push them because, you know, point, right? But I don't like the angles we take, so that's a bad bubble. And actually, I even want to back up for Chungus. You can self bubble here. Get this early ult charge. You're gonna get it by the time we get here, even if we speed boost, right?
Uh-huh.
By the time that it's useful, yeah. And you end up like getting an energy bubble here, which is like too close to the team fight, and we can't really do much when we get to the actual fight, right? But what's nice, after the Zarya drops off is they've given us all of this upper area. So we can use that to our advantage, and I think Ramen actually takes advantage of it. But we like start to take the fight here. George gets chunked down, just unlucky. Like, yeah, you had ice block, whatever. You just took extra damage. And you die. You got chunked. So we kind of disengage, wrap around. We have a good off angle right now. We're contesting the Widow sites. Again, for Ramen here. When the BAP goes for you after you use all your ammo, like, just stall using the flashbang until you have ammo, because you can't do anything with it, right? And now you're feeding, and you happen to get a lucky headshot on Chrome, the enemy McCree, right? Or, sorry, on, that's a later fight. But, anyways, we disengage here, and, like, it's okay because we traded, but, like, there was no reason to trade there, right? Just sloppy. We're down 1. And the Kree gets a pick. Gets 2 basically. And this is lost, right? So, time to get out. Or die. We opt to die. Gorba with the great escape. Got lucky. Now we're in the semblance of another team fight, right? So, I know you got picked early. They're all above 50%, and these are the people that are not, like, with the exception of him, because he was the first pick. Also, don't be the first pick, but it was also kind of unlucky. So, Chungus, we definitely need to work on your old generation, because you're actually quite far behind. And that's why I was talking about these bubbles, because obviously, old generation comes from charge, you know, so. Yeah, we can work on that, but
This Zarya was pretty good. Like I rarely see a Zarya that charges ult quite that fast in scrims before. I think she was like 4K. It
she
was
was
probably
okay.
just a mind game for me.
Fair. Yeah, so then we're looking for a team fight, and I don't remember this fight either. Oh, right. Okay, so we wrap around here, which again, interesting. The reason not to go main here is because of the Widow, right? So she ends up leaving the position and repositioning. I think this is good, out of us. Corva's a little split, but that's okay. We're stabilizing what we've used, projected. Where are we at for charge?
0.
Nice. And we get grabbed here. Now, this is interesting, right? So there's no way of us knowing that they have grav, but I'm just gonna start marking up the map, right? Yeah, and to be even more specific, core, but they grav this, right? And it gets like, I want to say George, clones, and maybe one more, but like as this plays out, like you can see that we're actually
Огонь по
at
готовности.
the advantage here. Right, so clones is a little late to get in. That's a beautiful MO there, by the way.
Thanks.
And the window's good. Someone gets shattered here. Yeah, it's Chungus, but that's okay. Like, you know, they're investing grab and shatter. We're investing window. You have follow up. You're an MO. Like, it's okay. What I don't like is that if we just took this fight as 6, we can ignore the widow. And instead, we end up in a situation, and I'll go back because it's hilarious, but there's no reason that this 1v1 needs to happen. This is a terrible instance of off angling. We were better off just fighting this, right? So, continuing on. He dies for it. Actually, he doesn't die. He gets a lucky headshot. And we trade. They go down. We end up shattering, right? So, like, it's It ends up in our favor, but it did not need to be that sloppy by any means. This is a good point. No, a little further. So, a bit of tunnel visioning by Ramen. Trying to throws.
That's a good setup. It's a good setup. But yeah, this is not necessary. Right? If he went on the high ground and just went right side, like with our push, like if he
Yes,
was looking at their
if he was
core,
up
yeah,
here, it was great off angle, but he
yeah,
decides to take the 1v1 for no reason. No
Yeah.
reason. Like, it doesn't matter if you kill Widow in that instance because her angle is so bad and we're in MO, right? Just unnecessary. He gets a lucky headshot on the Kree at the end. Misses, like, just doesn't melee after the headshot on the Widow. Yeah. So, and it's a good shatter. Good MO, good window, good shatter. Ends up cleaning it up. Now, we're in another interesting situation because we have ult charge, but what is the plan, right? So, going into this, it's a race for these two, right? And currently George is ahead. So I think in this instance, we have to just pick one and go for it. Because we can't overlap these two, right? As we talked about, like win conditions, right? Like their win condition is grav and a headshot, right? Our win condition is male grav, right? So we can't overlap these two. Or else we'll screw ourselves for the next two fights, right? So in this situation, we just have to pick one. Someone has to farm. It looks like we're setting up for grav, like a hidden grav, but you're not close enough to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I think like George being greedy here is the correct play, and that's why we get Mayo first. Like it's close, but we get Mayo first. And what's great, this Zarya is about to use her self bubble and she's out of position, right? So we have a prime opportunity to to May ult main and take a team fight here after like we wall off Ryan. We have an opportunity to take a team fight here because Zarya is out of position, right? And like it looks good on paper and then it just goes to shit for no reason, right? So we get a good May wall. Zarya use self. There's self. There's Ryan. There's the May wall. Like we're 95. We want to take this fight. Ryan gets out, but Zarya has to drop to do this. So Zarya is feeding, right? And then there's this situation, right? Which this is just a result of us not having a good plan, right? Because, and I think to a certain extent, it can be credited to the fact that we didn't know which ult was going to come first out of these two. So we didn't know how to set up accordingly, but we can still have semblance of like off angles and have a closer net core so that Tracer can't pull us away from the team fight, right?
Yep.
Because if we disregard the fact that we used MO, like that is a great image for us, right? Like this looks winnable, but we lose this, right? Zarya dies. We disengage from the high noon. Well, kind of.
Draw.
Chungus
Yeah, I feed.
feeds, but
Wait,
I,
what? Oh.
I
never mind.
also think that like Clone shouldn't be here. He should be here with this group, or maybe this group should be over here. Like what? Someone's wrong here, right? I think it makes more sense if they're gonna high noon down main. Like this group goes over here, so I think Clone should have taken this path, right, and not this one. But like this is still winnable because we have Mail, right? We've like we're down people, but we can still win this with if we were like positioned better. So then we regroup. They charge us, and like George commits, and I think it's a good play, but for some reason, Clones doesn't. He just like wallows in the center, like he's just like this, and then George is like, and then the Ryan dies, and then I think George dies shortly after, or something like that, right? But like it's just like nothing's clear.
Don't move.
I remember this. It was just a sloppy interaction, just all together.
Right, and
I
like
remember
like this is so unnecessary. Like after that Maywall, this fight should have been won. It's just unlucky that the Tracer Tracer won that fight by like pulling us out of position here where their Kree was in LOS and then forced us over here, got to pick here. The Clones doesn't know what to do, and Chungus feeds, and then like it just goes to shit as like this happens, and then like it's just so uncoordinated. Yeah. And I think we lose this
Огонь
too.
по готовности.
Right. And yeah, that can't happen. Right. We can't use like that beat is the most value thing I've ever seen in my life. And then on top of that, just for good measure, in case you thought we were done, let's add another ult to that fight. Right. So unnecessary. Really sloppy. Really
I think
sloppy.
in a way, Clones kind of like I don't know. Kind of the fact that he knocked everyone around. I remember in that exact instance was the reason why we couldn't actually kill them there. I couldn't actually lock in like perfect headshots because they were just being knocked around even though they were beated.
The situation over here, you mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because you had the opportunity to do it here, right? Like
That's true.
they noon, get a pick. We're out of position.
I mean, that's the whole reason why I didn't really like beat there because I knew we were just kind of splitting. Like this was looking like a really shitty fight for us.
Yeah, so you can still ult when we're down people, right? Because think about it, like they end up investing high noon, they end up full committing their tracer, right? Like our Ryan's out of position, we're down a healer, we're down Zarya. Sorry, let me clean this up. Like and then Korean, who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's it. Right. And so like if you may ult here, because of the fact that we killed their Zarya, it's still winnable, right? Because at that time it's 5v4, but it's still them walking into a choke, right? We only need him for the follow-up, right? As long as he stays alive, it's winnable. So I think you still could have ulted like right here. It was just unfortunate that the Tracer got so much value in like this small space. And yeah, everything that happened over here is just unnecessary and ugly to watch. So yeah, like him booping people around over here, I don't think really matters, to be honest. Nice comment, Gorba. You fucked on that Tracer. Oh yeah, right. So this is hilarious. This Grav accidentally gets value, right? You'd think this is a bad Grav, right? But what's hilarious about this is that like she doesn't die. And so what happens is then we have 3 people over here, 2 people over here. I don't even know where our 6th is, like 6 question mark. And they have their entire
Is
6
he
stack.
dead?
Like Kazaria just comes back, they regroup and they push and kill these 2. Right? Like this is trash. Or I think he grabs here, but it gets so much value and it's so dumb.
Огонь по готовности.
He's just that good.
Oh, he's coming back. Or 6.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So and also
He
And
gets
we're
flash
taking a
shattered, I
fight
think.
we high
without
noon.
our full team.
But like you see the situation here, and like I don't fault anyone for this. Like this isn't our fault, right? It just accidentally got value because it literally CC'd you guys in place. He disengaged as they happen to be in the position, and they come through and end up winning, right? Like, or winning the fight. So I don't know,
Oh, fuck.
but and like it's lost. They invested Grav, they invested Shatter, we invested High Noon. I think we invested Shatter. Um,
Look at our Kree, his body.
yeah,
Oh, it's way
Top
up there.
right.
It's hovering.
but
We're in heaven.
What the
yeah,
fuck?
he's like, fuck it, I'm out. High Noon to the moon. And yeah, kind of unlucky. I'm not too mad about this fight.
I think it was sort of a misplay on my
fucked
part
Ryan.
because if I was there to support clones, he when they got flashbang shattered, and like that's how they won.
But
But
also
also we got
chasing them
grab
to
out.
Zarya out. So like, okay, this is a good grab if the enemy Zarya is trying to get out with high charge, but she had 0.
Oh,
Like she didn't have any. She didn't have bubbles. She didn't have any charge. Like I don't know what this was.
It was
What I
just a 1700 SR play. Where
Dude,
like
what I
it's
yeah,
so
honest.
weird
What I
of
think it
plays that it
was is like
actually
she
works.
just walked out, saw 2, decided to grab, but kept looking and accidentally hit 1. And it's like so there was 2 of us here. Well, there was 3 of us here, but there was 2 of us like by stairs, and George got grabbed, and you 2 didn't know what to do about it. Like you saw the rest of the team, so you're like, we can't like commit onto her, and she's just like, all right, yeah, I'm head out. And like it just gets value. It's so dumb. You can't plan for that, right? Like those are the fights that if we lose, it's like okay, fair. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. But yeah. Who the hell?
Hey, I gotta dip out.
Yeah. I'm recording this, so if you want to finish it later, go for it.
Sorry, guys. I'll see you later.
Bye,
Yeah, I'll catch you
Gorba.
later.
See ya.
Good night. Okay, so what do we have for this fight? I don't remember this fight. But I
Fucking
think
Jack.
we win.
We win this?
Oh.
I think we have a good
Oh, no.
window, maybe.
Oh no, we lose this. I think we win the next fight. So
Is there a next fight? The fuck?
I don't remember, but
I think we win this with window.
maybe. Yeah. So
I just
this-
remember, like, on this map entirely, I was just still struggling to find my place as May. Like, I don't know. Like, like, in these kind of scenarios, I just feel 10 times more comfy on the Kree. Like, I can find so many more opportunities because, like, I've just improved my fucking hit scan so fucking much.
yeah,
Where I'm just
I
a
feel
menace to everyone who sees me.
I'm missing one. Who am I missing? Oh, he's dead. That's why. Okay. So what ends up happening is we set up window for this decent angle. I think the window could have came out a touch later, just because like if you're doing a blind, it it's an okay idea.
We don't
Like
have a high noon with it as well. And, like,
you don't need it, right? You can use it to just keep clones alive, right? Because the fact of the matter is someone has to touch, right? Like we need this contest happening. But it's a weird
well, going off what you
situation.
said, like what's it called? I commit the wall there to kill off the Ryan, and then we could just kind of flop on them.
Right. Like this is our team fight, right? And like this is what we're going for the kill. But the awkwardness is that he ends up high nooning. It forces Immo out of us. We stack his 3 up here, and I think Chungus comes up here too. I don't remember this part, but this tracer ends up getting like a lot of value. But the real hero of the people is that Clones is able to stay alive. Like Clones does exactly what he's supposed to in this job, in this situation, and that's why we win this fight. So, and I'll slow it down, right? So like it gets kind of sketchy because like so we got the pick, then we lose one, but it's like this Ryan's killable because he walks out of ammo. They use High Noon off here, which forces ammo out of us, right? And then
Oh, that's a shit MO.
but like it also forces ammo out of us, right? Which is tough. We end up
Oh yeah,
getting
I'm saying my MO is shit. I should have put it behind me.
yeah, I mean, I think you were doing it
Jesus, these
reactionary because you were
pixels.
staring a High Noon in the face.
Oh, okay.
And then their Zarya just gets so much value right here. It gets the pick, like it's just
Easy.
crazy, right? And like the Zarya
What the fuck is
lives.
she doing there?
Well, that's what she should do, like because
Oh.
Should she?
yeah, because we had the window up here. We just used ammo from the High Noon. He dies for it, but she has to contest this high ground so that they have a win condition, right? Because they lost high ground for free.
How did they get there though?
Get where?
How did the Zarya get all the way over
She
there?
just walked up.
Oh, she walked.
Did-
Yeah.
Your screen was like pixelated the entire time.
It was super pixelated.
Oh,
was
it is for
different.
me too. Yeah,
It's
Alright.
better now for me.
I thought it was just me. Okay.
Oh my emotion.
Yeah. So, I'll play it.
I think she just disengages and goes up the stairs.
Yeah, okay. So, can you guys see my mouse at all? Like,
Yeah.
No, you're fine right now.
is this okay? Okay.
It's all good.
Yep, it's good
So
now.
like High Noon here, we window here, we ammo here. We have Bap, Kree, Lucio up here into the sightline of the High Noon. So like this is good, and then the Zarya is just like boop boop boop, and that's her job to clear us
So
off high ground.
should our Zarya have been on high ground with us? I think so, right?
So it's kind of finicky, right?
That's
And
in beam range.
yeah, so it depends on their positioning. What I think is the safest option is to default to coming to high ground instead of defaulting to here, right? Because you can bubble
Yeah.
from here, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to chase, you have the option to drop and then engage, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if the team fights here, right, and we're going for a May wall here, the idea is still the same for Chungus, right? Like he still has the same opportunities. It's like not much would change until the Zarya comes up, right? So, yeah. Oh shit. So I think it's okay. Like ideally you start on high ground, but
Draw.
Oh, she does just straight up walk up there.
yeah, and like that's her job. And then the bubble by her is good. She starts taking pokes, so she bubbles and walks through. She gets the pick, and she just walks off, you know. And also like the tracer was contesting Gorba there, trying to get up. The Bap is like pumping heals into the Zarya, but that leaves the Ryan open to die, and so yeah, crazy fight. But then it's like one of those situations where it's 3v1 and like or 3v2, all of a sudden we won, right? So it was an interesting fight, right? And I think the MO saved us. It was a good MO. It was a pretty good window. I think it was just a touch early because like they see you on high ground and they're automatically going to be backing up, right? So what ends up happening is like you only had LOS on the Kree here because the Kree was in a weird spot. Like
Yeah. So I could have moved to
someone
the
has to
right.
have their either
Okay.
that or you can just wait for them to take the engagement, right? Don't even show that you have window, right? Because like inversely, if we're taking the team fight on this area, when they back up because we have this positioning, right? Like, because we have, I'm gonna say 4. I'll put Zarya up here with Bap, Kree, Lucio. We have Ryan on point. We have May on point, and then we have like the rest of their core over here. Like, there's little to no value that Window gets right here, except for the fact that he's feeding. But the reality is that like
Oh.
this person's not always going to feed, so we can't rely on this. So unless you're using it to pump heals into them, I don't think it matters. Why not
I
just
was shooting the Ryan, right?
yes, yes. So why not like delay this, wait for them to engage, then Window when they're engaging. That way we have the resource advantage, right? Because they can just disengage for Window, and it's what they do.
Well, I think they'll still disengage, and then the trace is on the high ground.
Right. Yeah, so they
Yeah,
the
because
reason
we were
why they
pushing with May,
disengage
right?
is because we're up here, right? So they're not disengaging because of the window, they're disengaging because we have better positioning, right? They have to play the LOS of you guys up there, otherwise they're just feeding on point, like this Kree does in this weird angle.
Oh, so you're saying just hold it even after they disengage, and then wait for the next engage.
Wait for them to engage to use it, yeah. Because that way there, like, the damage here and the healing here is going to be consistent until they decide to take that speed engage, which is when the value of window comes out, right? Which is why I'm
Yeah.
kind of saying like the Zarya being here or here doesn't ultimately matter in the grand scheme of this particular fight, right? Because basically we're waiting for them to either engage or make mistakes, and they end up making mistakes, right? So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
in terms of like how the fight went down, it was okay. It's just unlucky that George got picked, right? And it was lucky that this Kree was doing weird shit. So
Might have been. I remember one of those. Not one of those. Fucking that exact instance. I don't think I was expecting a speed. I think that's why I fucking double queued right into a Reinhardt. That or I'm just straight up bad at the game. But like I don't know.
who knows? Could be all the three, right?
Holy shit, your sense.
Dude, it's fun. Like aiming like that's no, that's just me being shit.
Yeah, and like looking for the wall there is correct. You have to be positioned here in order to do it. Like it's kind of just unlucky because you were over here trying to contest a tracer, which by the way isn't your job. Like it's nice if you get the headshot, but it just took so much time that you were no longer with.
I mean, like I believe at the time, like it was being like discussed like amongst the team, like okay, this tracer's getting way too much value. Why is she alive? And
So
I
the
just
discussion for the tracer was when Chungus died to Inoon here, right? When
yeah.
we ended up overlapping the two ults over here, right? Like that was the tracer discussion. But ultimately, that's so if we're running brawl, tracer's value is by pulling someone out, right? Like if tracer's here, she wants to pull one of these people out. And like what ends up happening is that the Zarya is the one that just prevents all of that from happening, right? Now, what ended up happening in this situation is that we had 2 here, we had 4 here, and the tracer was here, forced Immo out, and then they fucking scatter, you know, and someone dies for it. So like the tracer got value for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. So poking at the tracer there is not May's job. It's nice if you get it in the poke phase, but we're no longer in the poke phase. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Cool. So that's all I had planned for today.
Oh, I'm gapping their BAP so hard.
True.
My stats is. Huh.
Yeah. So we end up winning this. And again, just clean up. So overall, I think a lot of this just comes down to the fact that like if we fight plan properly, it goes well for us. If we don't, we're just relying on mechanics. And we've faced teams before that have had better mechanics and rolled us. And this was not one of those teams. We had the better mechanics. We had the upper advantage on this front, and when we had fight plans, we had better plans, right? We had smarter engagements, better ult economy, stuff like that. It's just there was a couple situations where it got dicey and we didn't really play efficiently that I wanted to like break down. So I hope that makes sense for everyone. Thank you for you three for coming and Gorba for showing up as much as he could. Does anyone have any questions before I end?
Can someone buy ramen Kovacs, please?
Damn. I think it's free. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay. Did you
No,
guys, did
thanks.
you three see the Google document I posted in the coaching channel?
I haven't
Yep.
clicked on
Did.
it yet, but I saw that you posted it. Yeah.
All right. Make sure you click on it, read through it. There's some tips for everyone.
At one
There's
fucking time, you whispered me on Sombra. I remember it was because like I had like a split second to actually use EMP.
EMP.
I was like, fuck, dude. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys have the advantage. There is like a little attendance thing to confirm that you've read this document. For the people that don't, they're gonna have to deal with me yelling at them. So make sure you look for that right in this document. And please try to read it before Tuesday. So that way there it's useful. But all right, that's all I got. Thank you
All right.
for those that showed up and have a good night.
All right.
All right.
Later.
Thanks, Trouble.